Most people focused on body composition never think about liver health. Today, my guest explains how this overlooked organ controls your metabolic rate, muscle protein synthesis, and fat storage, and why liver dysfunction might explain why you're struggling with your fitness and nutrition. You'll learn how to recognize when liver function is limiting your results, which common foods and lifestyle factors can impair liver performance, and evidence-based strategies to optimize liver health for better body composition. Welcome to Wit and Weights, the show that helps you build a strong, healthy physique using evidence, engineering, and efficiency. I'm your host, Philip Pape, and today we're discussing how thyroid and liver function affects metabolism, muscle retention, fat loss, and more. My guest today is Sara Banta, a certified supplement expert, health coach, and founder of Accelerated Health Products. She's also the host of Accelerated Health with Sara Banta. Go give that a follow. She's got well over, I think, 600 episodes covering health optimization and so many topics that you guys really care about. So give her a follow. And Sara, the reason I wanted to have her here is she has experienced firsthand how addressing some of these health issues, some that we don't talk about enough or understand enough, the thyroid, the liver function, everything going on in your body, how they can impact your results, your training, your metabolism, and why some people might get frustrated or hit plateaus despite doing all the right things, despite sound nutrition and sound training protocols. So today you're going to learn how thyroid and liver affects more than just the processing of what you eat and your hormones. It's involved in hormone conversion, nutrient metabolism, muscle protein utilization, all that fun stuff that we're going to nerd out on today. We're going to explore what the research shows about the function of these systems in your body and with your body composition, look at lifestyle factors that can impair your health, and discuss evidence-based strategies, as always, to support optimal thyroid and liver health for better results. Sara, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me. Super excited. I love that you mentioned efficiency and energy in your intro, because I feel like so many people are banging their heads against the wall with workouts and not eating enough or trying to figure out what to eat, when they just have to figure out how their body assimilates and makes energy and becomes efficient with the results. So anyways, I'm super excited to dive into this because we're going to tackle all of those things.
So you're saying it's not about cutting out whole food groups. Is that what you're saying?
No, it's not. And it's not about taking a weight loss drug. It is about your body trusting you. It's about getting all the systems on without the clogs in the wheel, per se. So we need everything to be working right. And the things that disrupt it, that's what we're going to get into as well. And it does come down to thyroid and liver. Before we get into that, I thought I'd tell my little story. I've been an athlete all my life. I was a rower, played volleyball in high school, rowed at the national level. And rowing especially is not an easy feat. All three of my kids have done it, and they've had their own health issues along the way with it. But you have to be fueling right. You've got to have strong muscle. You've got to have good cardio. But what happened to me almost coming up on a year is I was hit with spike protein, viral activity. Well, what was happening to me is my thyroid numbers went down. So my metabolism slowed down. And then I was eating over 200 grams of protein, which, as you know, is a lot of protein for someone my size. But my body was not assimilating that protein and turning it into muscle. And unfortunately, Philip, I'm really boring. I'm so consistent with my workouts, with my eating regimen and all of that. So anything that goes up or down, there's like this outside factor that you've got to look at. So I was not only not building muscle, which was my goal, I was actually losing muscle. And my thyroid numbers were going down. My testosterone was going down. I've always had a good, healthy testosterone. So something was amiss. And when your body is under a stressor, whether it's financial stress, your spousal stress, or an internal stress of a virus, an allergy, or liver being overloaded, your body goes into this survival mode. And it says, hey, shut down all these systems. We're not going to worry about building muscle and burning fat because we've got to take care of this thing over here. And so my liver was not, the wheels had come off. And what people don't understand is your liver and your thyroid are directly connected. Now, regardless of what your diet is, what you're eating, even, eating nothing, you're not going to burn fat and you're not going to lose weight because your thyroid is in charge of your metabolism. It's in charge of your metabolic rate, your body temperature. And for all of you out there going, well, I think I have a healthy thyroid. My doctor says it's healthy. They tested my TSH and my T4. That doesn't tell you the whole story. That's 2 of the many thyroid hormones. You need to look at the big picture. You need to look at free T3, reverse T3. That will tell you what your metabolism is and what your level of stress is that your body is seeing. Because my T3 was low and my reverse T3, which was my stress hormone, was extremely high during this period. What is that telling my body? You are in survival mode, shut down metabolism. Not only shut down metabolism, but we're going to have this added propensity to store fat because we need to protect these expensive muscles around our belly, our liver, our kidneys, our gallbladder, all of these, our heart. That's why you get the belly fat when you're under stress, right? And you get that thin butt look and the big belly and the big shoulder pads. So your body goes into this survival mode. And so your body actually adds on more fat than you would in a non-stressed state. If you don't have a healthy thyroid, you're not getting energy to the brain. And this is what you don't realize. Your body produces T4 and T3, just a little bit of the T3, which is the active thyroid hormone. But T4 needs to convert into T3. T4 is inactive, T3 is active. 80% of T4 has to be converted into active T3, and guess where that happens? In the liver.
There we go.
So how is my liver going to do the job for the thyroid if it's dealing with all of these other things over here, the microplastics, the endocrine disruptors, the PFAs, and it's going to disrupt your gut. Now, some people could probably eat it fine without any issues. I definitely couldn't. My body said no. So I went back to just whole foods, boring as it is, I did. But your liver cannot help your thyroid if your liver's overloaded with all of this stuff. So when you start seeing a slower metabolism, fatigue, even though you're eating or you're sleeping, dry skin, thin hair, cold hands, cold feet, the brain fog, weight gain, especially around the middle, that could mean that your liver is not converting that T4 to T3. And that is where the T3 is what gives your cells that energy, the cellular energy inside the mitochondria. That is where the ATP gets up. Now, part of this issue with the thyroid is a lack of iodine. And what does that iodine do? It increases your metabolism, right? But not only that, it helps with the protein being used for muscle building and fat oxidation. So you're going to increase that fat oxidation and increase that muscle protein synthesis. Iodine helps that metabolism slow down during weight loss. If you're in a cut and you usually see a metabolism slow down, iodine can keep that metabolism boosted because it increases that ATP within the cell. So if your thyroid can't work properly, it's going to make it harder to gain the muscle, to assimilate the protein that you're taking in and turn it into muscle, and easier for you to gain fat. Iodine helps with cleansing the blood so the liver can do its job. It increases the efficiency of the mitochondrial function. Without healthy mitochondria, you will not have fat oxidation or muscle performance. You will also have better brain activity. Iodine deficiency is the number one cause of brain fog, depression, anxiety. Most people on antidepressants are not getting their thyroids tested. Most people on antidepressants, if they just corrected their thyroid, they probably would let go of their antidepressant medication. So iodine also helps balance out the hormones, growth hormone, testosterone, and even the estrogen, progesterone. Most men and women are suffering from estrogen dominance. What does that look like? Man boobs, not able to develop the muscles in the body, low testosterone levels. Our testosterone in our men, as you know, I'm sure, is just plummeted. Well, iodine plays a key role in hormone regulation, not just in the thyroid, but through the whole endocrine system. And it also boosts that detoxification in your liver and your lymph. So the iodine is supporting the thyroid, but it is also supporting the liver and helping cleanse the heavy metals, the plastics, the xenoestrogens, the halogens. So with that being said, it, like I mentioned, it helps with the focus. And if your focus is better, guess what you're going to do in the gym? You're actually going to have better performance because you're more motivated. When you have brain fog or you're depressed, who wants to work out? I just want to stay in bed, right? So that is all related. But then it gets to the liver.
Early on in what you were just talking about with your own personal experience, I love that you brought up the fact you were super consistent and quote unquote boring with your routine. Those are actually my favorite clients, because then you could easily tease out the variables, not easily, but you could at least isolate the variables, like you said, and try to understand what else might be happening. You know, we're doing all the right things, but still something's frustrating. Is it menopause? Is it because I'm old, right? You get all the classic kind of reasons or excuses, and it might be some cascade with your liver, your thyroid, the environmental inputs coming into your body with the modern food environment. So I think that's really important for people to understand first is don't assume and fearmonger for yourself that it's like the sky is falling all over the place. It's if you can be consistent, you can help tease these out. The second thing you mentioned is this big cascade between the thyroid and the liver, which is probably news to a lot of people. And it's not surprising to me how interconnected everything is, because we see, for example, muscle and bone are more connected than we ever thought hormonally, right? Fat and muscle cells are more connected. And so your personal experience of, okay, checking my hormones, looking at and seeing the T4, the T3, this, that, you know, when you first do that, people are still overwhelmed. They don't quite know what's going on, and they slap a Band-Aid on it with just, they might go straight to HRT. That may not be the solution, right? And the fact that it's then linked to your metabolism. Now we get to the special sauce here of weight loss resistance, and why can't I lose fat? And why is all the fat that I am gaining going to my belly? Why am I eating so much protein like you did and not able to utilize it? And finally, that gets us to two things: incoming toxins and then mitigation of those toxins in the body. So when we talk about toxins, I've talked about it before in the context of chronic inflammation, right? Because we often blame inflammation on like specific foods, but it's really the context of your lifestyle and the environment and everything coming together. Answer this question for me, Sara. Is our liver capable of detoxifying quite a bit of junk that comes in from the outside if we are doing other things right? Or is there a point at which like it's just kind of a lost cause and we really have to unload those toxins coming in? If you feel me on that.
From what I've gone through and the way I live my life, I truly believe at this point in modern day society, we have to support our livers with the proper supplements. But the other thing I wanted to touch on was you mentioned hormones, like let's get on HRT, or I had doctors saying, oh, you need to get on a free T3 medication, or you need to get on testosterone. Your testosterone's too low. My body was in a survival stressed mode. It was adapting to this condition that I was dealing with. If I had thrown hormones on it, which my liver would have had to process on top of everything else I was doing, it was going to make me feel worse. And in fact, a side scenario with my own 18-year-old daughter whose menstrual cycle pain went from a 5, level 5, to a 12, where she's throwing up and yelling at me saying, Mom, help me pass out. Just hit me. I can't deal with this pain. Something a mom should never have to witness. It was horrific. But what I witnessed was the doctor put her on progesterone to bring up her progesterone. Well, that was going to back up her liver because she was fighting a viral issue as well, and her liver was overloaded. Within 1 day of using the progesterone, she got even more nauseous. She couldn't even drink water. She got that bad. So throwing on more hormones or things that your liver's got to process everything, good and bad. So you want to remove as much as you can. When we talk about muscle growth, it starts in the liver. Your liver plays that huge role in amino acid metabolism and protein synthesis. This is the other thing, Philip, when I was eating all that protein, didn't matter because my liver was not able to break it down and repackage it, those amino acids, to send to my biceps and my quads. It wasn't doing what I thought it was supposed to do. So this is where the body builds and repairs muscle tissues. And so if your liver cannot properly convert amino acids or clear out ammonia from protein breakdown, you won't see results. And the toxins, the plastics, heavy metals, excess estrogens, they get stored in the fat tissue when your liver's too backed up to eliminate them. And so when you try to burn fat without supporting the liver, those toxins just get reabsorbed, trigger inflammation, slow your metabolism. And your hormones, we're talking about hormone health, the thyroid hormones, estrogen, testosterone, insulin, cortisol, they're all activated, broken down, or detoxed in the liver. If your liver isn't working, you're going to see a sluggish metabolism, estrogen dominance, low testosterone, insulin resistance, cravings, high cortisol. Mm-hmm. So all of these things, and without that strong bile production, so bile is that detergent for the fat. But without that strong bile production, you can't absorb fat-soluble vitamins like A and D, E, and K. So here you are popping your multivitamin, not doing you any good because your body's not using it.
Let's take a step back before we get to, but you mentioned briefly, not a protocol, but kind of a hierarchical approach that people should take where they do the basics, they do the foundations. Let's start there when it comes to, you mentioned gut health. You mentioned, of course, stress and the link between stress and your thyroid metabolism. And that's such a loaded topic. Other things to come to mind when you talk about fat, like just being recovered and sleeping and being consistent with your training and maybe not dieting all the time. So yeah, what does that hierarchy look like? So people are like, okay, I've done that, and I've done that. Now I should look at the next, like the 1%, the 5% solutions that I haven't dealt with yet.
So number one is free. It's that sleep. None of this stuff matters. I don't care what you eat, what you do, what supplements you throw down your throat. If you're not sleeping, that's step one. And it's easier said than done. I wear my Oura ring and it's my priority. And what's also interesting though, is your liver. If you're waking up at 3 to 4 in the morning, that's your liver waking you up. That's your liver screaming at you that it wants some support. So sleep is number one. Stress, easier said than done though, right? I mean, stress is the killer. It's the killer. It causes cancer. It causes brain fog. It causes headaches. It causes your hair to fall out. Why is your hair falling out? Because your thyroid shuts down. And your thyroid says, we need to conserve energy. I don't know if we're going to go through a famine for 6 months or if we're being chased by a tiger or if I'm fighting with my husband. It doesn't care. It is going to shut down your metabolism.
So for all these things we talk about where your thyroid is suspect, if you just went and got blood work, would it show up in your numbers? Okay.
But you have to get the full thyroid panel.
Sure.
The TSH tells you nothing. That is a thyroid stimulating hormone. That's actually a pituitary hormone. So it's telling your thyroid to produce T4. But T4 does you no good unless the liver converts T4 to T3. And so I even have a very astute thyroid client who just got her thyroid numbers done. And I saw the TSH, I saw the T4, and I'm looking, I see the reverse T3, and I'm keep looking down her test. I'm like, where's your free T3? And then I went back because I'm like, no, my eyes are just not seeing it. I said, where's the free T3? She goes, oh my gosh, I can't believe we didn't do it. And that is it.
Okay.
That is your metabolism. Now, your reverse T3 says a lot as well, because that's your stress hormone.
So just to put a cap on this, right? Like if you get that blood work and it looks good, is there still potentially an issue?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. So you are different than me. Just the way that your cells can be resistant to insulin, your cells could be more resistant than mine to thyroid hormone. So what's floating all in the blood doesn't tell the whole story. And it's a snapshot, because did the person take their thyroid medication an hour before or not, not at all before they got the blood test? Did they just have a spike of cortisol from a huge stress moment right before their blood test? Have they been under chronic stress for months? All of these things you have to take into account, and it's just a snapshot.
Mhm.
So your thyroid numbers can go up and down. And personally, I'm super sensitive. I feel my body go hypo and hyper. It does this. And so it's constantly, I'm managing, and I take different doses of supplements for my thyroid based on how I'm feeling. And what do I look for? Better digestion, edema or a lack of edema, my energy, of course. How is my brain working that day? Those are just signs without a blood test to say, okay, your thyroid's on point today, or it's not. And when it's not, I go, okay, well, let's go back to the fundamentals. Where's my sleep? Where's my stress? And it's never about caloric restriction or I need to work out more, because those thoughts of working out more or eating less is an additional
Is more stress.
stressor.
Yep.
Right. And not
Sure.
even just that, but not even just doing anything different, but thinking about the fact that, oh my gosh, I'm going to gain fat because my thyroid's not working. Do you not think those thoughts aren't going to affect the way your metabolism
100%.
and your systems are working? Your thoughts are so powerful. So that's another thing. And that's free. So train your thoughts. But with food, I prioritize wild animal protein. I love my venison, my bison, wild fish. Those are my go-tos. I'll eat grass-fed, grass-finished beef. So your body is able to assimilate wild animal protein, wild fish much more easily. And when I was going through this huge issue with my liver and realized what was going on, I essentially tended to eating a mostly pescatarian diet, which drove me nuts. And I
Like
know,
as an elimination, effectively. Yeah.
and it was just to like give my liver a little bit of a break and breathing room. And I was shocked that I actually saw a difference in my muscle tone and things improving. And I thought, wait a second, I thought I would get all of that from all the good red meat I was eating, not the wimpy little fish. But what was happening was the more animal land meats were harder on my liver. Now, my liver's healthy now. I eat tons of those meats now. So these things are not long-term.
Fixed.
They're just short-term to get your body back.
So, okay, you mentioned sleep, stress, food, but you also mentioned the whole conversation about T3 was, I think one of the takeaways for listeners there is the importance of biofeedback and the importance of really understanding your body, and that hormones and all of these things can vary within the day to day, week to week. It's going to depend on your stress levels, everything else. Just like when we talk about fat loss and muscle building, it's like different times of the year, you're a different person. You might even weigh a different amount. You might have, it's winter versus summer. There's different things going on. I like what you talked about eliminating as well. Is there a standard kind of elimination protocol that you suggest for people? Like doing I hate to say carnivore, because again, I don't advocate specific diets ever, but like cutting out what people think of as the trouble foods, let's say like dairy or gluten or something like that. Yeah.
I do tend to prioritize wild animal protein, fill in with the carbs and the fat, depending on your health goals. Personally, I tend to like carbs more than fat. Most people have fatty liver disease. Fatty liver disease for the American population is over 50%. If your liver is backed up, like mine was, it cannot process fat very well. So any ketogenic diet, any high fat, low carb diet is probably not going to work for you. So that's where the protein is number one. And then you fill in with the fats or carbs, depending on what your preference is. I noticed when I started adding in more carbs, my metabolism went up. Imagine that.
Mm-hmm.
When I started not fasting like I used to, my metabolism went up. Why? Because my body is trusting me. How much money do you have in the bank? You only got $20. You're only going to spend a very little amount. If you've got millions in the bank, you're going to spend more money. And your body does the same with its metabolism. So it's not about protein, carbs, or fat. It's more about the specific wrong or right proteins, carbs, or fats. And sticking to the more whole foods or wild animal proteins like the bison, the elk, venison. These foods also, Philip, there are so many ranches around the country. You just Google at delivery, bison delivery, and you will have plenty of websites show up. They're family owned. They're high quality meats. They're directly delivered to your doorstep in these nice dry ice frozen packages, no more expensive than going to get your meat from the market. And it makes it super easy. So it's not a cost thing, because the ultra processed foods, those cost a lot of money. Your Starbucks costs a lot of money compared to these whole foods that we're talking about.
Yeah, we had a cattle rancher on recently, and she was talking about like one of the best places you get food is just your local farmers, your farmers markets, like just, because at least you can talk to the people raising the food and ask them about their process and what's in it and pesticides and all that stuff. I like that tip.
Hello, I am Berkeley, and I wanted to give a huge thank you to Philip of Wits and Weights. He has helped me so much. Gave me a completely free 30-minute call where he answered all of my questions, gave lots of great insight into programming and nutrition. All of his content is really wonderful, and he has a great Facebook group that is supportive and informational. He has tons of free resources that I really, really enjoy, and they're all super science-based. What I really love about Philip is that he always updates his guides, and he makes time to answer any questions. Even though I am not currently a paying client, he really has helped me so much, and I'm just so grateful.
So now what about movement, strength training? So I'm obviously huge into strength training. And one of the things that surprised me being in this industry now is how much that unlocks your body's capability, is the way I'm going to put it, like down to the cellular level. Like how much of our body is tied to, it's not just having muscle mass and looking good. It's the act of training, the myokines that get released and the signaling, and like you're using your body in space like we're meant to do. What are your thoughts on that tied to liver and thyroid health?
Oh, it's huge. Your body, your cells are communicating, right? And so when you are strength training, you're essentially telling your brain, I want to be strong to live life. I want to be more capable. I want to be more grounded. I know that when I feel too thin or not enough muscle on my body, I feel very weak in the mind. So there's this mind-body connection there. The muscle is going to burn more fat and burn more calories. Your muscles are glucose storage banks. So the more muscle you have, the more carbs you are able to eat and sponge up. And the chronic cardio, especially for women, it's not going to pay off. Your hormones are going to be wrecked. Your hair's going to fall out. Your skin is going to look awful. And your body's going to go back to that bank thought of, hey, I'm not getting enough money in my bank to be expending on an 8-mile run right now. So I'm going to lower my metabolism, and maybe I'm going to burn a lot of calories during that run. Then I'm going to shut it down. So I'm a huge believer in strength training. I lift heavy weights. I try to bulk up. It's very difficult, women. You're not going to get bulky unless you're taking testosterone shots. And even then, it's going to be difficult. So I'm a huge proponent of that.
My general thought, having watched the industry and seen how things have gone, my general advice to people is, but I'm curious about your thoughts on the fasted training piece, because that's where a lot of people go to, like EAAs, even if they have no problems handling the muscle, the protein coming in, right, and the amino acids, if they're very efficient with that. Do you find them valuable or not?
Yes. So I tend to work out early in the morning, and I take my iodine, I take the essential amino acids after, and then I really do follow up with a big meal to help fill in and support my caloric need. Personally, that works for me. Some people need a meal in the beginning or in the morning before their workout, especially women. I feel like men can get away with a lot more. Women need to really think through their hormonal balance and how they're feeling. So, do you have to be fasted in a workout? No. Is it a possibility? Yes. But you really need to be listening to your own body and where you are. If you're in a very stressed period of time in your life, not a time to be fasted, right? We want to, if our bucket's full of stress, we don't want to add another one. Just like if our liver bucket's too full of toxins, we don't want to add another one. We need to take care and see where we are. And it might change in a month from now and then change back again for you. If you are constantly doing the same routine every single day with the same workouts and the same food, your body's not going to make any big adjustments because it's just going to settle right into that routine. You know, there's that study where they've looked at different tribes around the world where they're doing a whole lot more physical activity than we are, but they're eating the same amount of calories because their bodies adjust. You know, your metabolism is going to adjust. So the two biggest things when you're talking about fat loss or muscle building and getting results is your liver and your thyroid. And like I said, if you choose to eat a meal before your workout, or if you choose to be fasted, that's not going to make or break you if you have not addressed the thyroid and the liver. And those things are also related to your sleep and your stress. So it's all interconnected. The cells are talking. Your cells are, just like in your interview about bone and muscle, how they're interrelated, which is super fascinating and makes total sense. All of our cells are talking. All of our organs are talking. You're not just having the head doctor and then the liver doctor and the kidney doctor and the muscle doctor. They're all connected.
I feel like Eastern medicine has known this a lot longer than we have, right?
Yeah,
but
absolutely.
I think there's one little elephant, little or big elephant in the room people are thinking, because we said liver about 100 times. And that, of course, is some of the biggest toxins that we're all aware of that maybe we shouldn't imbibe in on a regular basis. Let's just hit on those. Alcohol. But I also want to talk about smoking. You would think by now anybody health conscious would not even think about smoking, let alone addiction and all that. But I'm even curious about pot and like cigars and pipes and all that, because I've got friends who are like, yeah, it's, I celebrate with my cigars, no big deal, but they're super health conscious everywhere else. How much toxic load does that stuff put on your liver?
Oh, it's not even just your liver. All of the toxins from smoking love your thyroid.
Oh, yes.
Love your thyroid. So you think you're suppressing your appetite and you're going to have a weight loss effect from that smoking. It's actually slowing down your thyroid. But yes, all those toxins are hitting your liver. Alcohol is a poison. There's no storage capacity for alcohol in the body. And you might think, oh, well, that's good news. That means that I can drink and nothing's going to be stored. No, what that does is the body says, okay, stop. We got to stop everything else. Anything that comes in other than the alcohol, the carbs, the protein, the fat, we're going to store it in our fat cells because we got to burn this alcohol right now. Right. And so the liver is just under attack. And, I have alcoholism in my family and I don't tend to drink. I have not said to myself, oh, you're never going to drink, because I don't want to do that to myself. But it's so funny because I'll go out and I'll be offered a drink and I'll think, I feel too good. It takes me down. When you optimize your thyroid and your energy is up, and you feel good, you don't want to be taken down. My kids, they've experimented a little bit with alcohol. They don't care for it because they feel good on a regular basis. And most people are suffering from anxiety and depression, and they're using it as a coping mechanism. Yeah. So the problem is alcohol and other drugs, but specifically alcohol, makes you more impulsive when you're not drinking. It makes you more depressed when you're not drinking. And obviously your tolerance goes up and you need more and more and more. And it's also empty calories. And alcohol also crosses the blood-brain barrier. There's so many things that you're looking at it going, why would I do that?
It's true. Okay. Yeah, I know. I just wanted to address that because again, people think about that. I'll call that an easy one, but it could be a very hard one depending on your history. But easy in that has a huge positive impact if you can reduce or eliminate. And like you said, reframe and focus on what is life without it and how great can that be and how wonderful it is when we're doing these health-focused activities and foods and drinks. Okay. Is there anything, I'll say, like a misconception or a big thing we didn't hit on related to this topic that you want people to leave with?
I would just say we are no longer in our grandparents' generation. Especially if you're wanting to live a vibrant, energy-filled life, and that does require addressing your thyroid, your liver, your stress, your sleep, and more chronic disease than ever before is occurring in everybody in all ages. Our children, 1 out of 3 children have a chronic disease that is going to last a lifetime. 1 in 3. 25% of children have fatty liver disease. Fatty liver disease used to be an alcoholic's disease, and now our children have it. There's something going on that was not here before. And it's time to wake up. It's time to face the fact that if you want to live a vibrant, healthy life and enjoy the muscle building, the fat burning, but just the energy, the pain-free lifestyle, lack of inflammation or disease, you'll have to be proactive. But you don't have to be constrained or restricted. Like I mentioned, the food guide has hundreds of foods that are delicious that will help your body heal instead of causing inflammation and causing your chronic disease to worsen. So there are answers.
Yeah, and that's the empowering message that at the end of the day, we want to take from this. If you focus on yourself, you listen to yourself, you act like an engineer and stabilize some of the variables here, right? And tweak one thing at a time and reach out to and listen to podcasts like ours and Sarah's. I think you'll be empowered. And then it's just a matter of your choice and your actions. So speaking of taking action, Sarah, where can people learn more about you and your work?
Everything's at sarabantahealth.com. I've got free group coaching because after today, you might be going, wait a second, I have questions. You post the questions in the group chat. I answer daily, 7 days a week, almost 24 hours a day, unfortunately for me and my family. But I also post tips and tools, new podcasts, new articles. I write tons of articles. I love writing articles. Protocols. You can also get your free protocol off of my website. Just write in what your condition is, and I will put together a supplement protocol for you. And I truly believe that God's put me on earth to help all of you. And that's my mission.
And I can get on board with that. I feel you. That is our intent. We are trying to help in every way we can. And lots of people need it. And thank goodness for these platforms like our podcast. We're going to send folks to sarabantahealth.com for all the stuff you just heard about, the Q&A, the tips, tools, podcast, the resources, the articles, everything. And Sarah, it's been a blast. Thank you so much for coming on Wits and Weights.
Thanks for having me.